Welcome to the Necromaniacs podcast. This is our Halloween episode.
Yes, we are back. Tonight, for the Halloween kickoff, we're going to talk about three movies: The Green Inferno from Eli Roth, The Editor from the Astron 6 guys, and Berberian Sound Studio. Even though it's from 2 years ago, 2013, yeah. We kind of got around to it a little late, and we wanted to talk about it. So,
and we got Rich from Darkside kind of lurking in the background.
Say what's up, Rich. Thank you. Yes, Rich from Darkside NYC. Awesome.
So you want to kick it off with Green Inferno?
Yes, we'll kick it off with Green Inferno. Okay, the movie, it's been out for just under a month now. It came out September 25th. Me and Mike and another friend of ours, Jimmy, saw it that night that it came out. We actually saw it on 42nd Street in Manhattan, which we thought was very fitting because, we thought it would be the kind of movie that one would have seen back in the day on 42nd Street, right, Mike?
Absolutely. That's actually cooler. The situation was actually cooler than the movie, in my opinion.
Yes, it was. To give a brief synopsis, even though I'm sure a lot of people listening know a bit about it, of the movie, the crux of the movie is New York college student Justine, played by the beautiful Lorenza Izzo, who is currently Eli Roth's wife, that lucky bastard. She's a lawyer's daughter, and she meets a student activist named Alejandro, played by Ariel Levy, who goes on a hunger strike on behalf of, underpaid janitors. It's basically like this kind of scene at a college, which actually was shot in New York City. We were thinking it was, and I did some research, and it was shot in New York City. Basically, she kind of gets caught up in the whole kind of activism that's going on the campus. And she thinks he's cute, and she kind of wants to be a part of what he's doing. So she agrees to help him go on what is his next project after the janitor hunger strike, which is to go down to the Amazon. And, well, I feel like that in of itself, I mean, I guess in some ways is a bit of a stretch, right, Mike? I
think so.
She just met the guy, and, I think Eli maybe wanted to kind of kick things off kind of fast. The one thing I noticed was it was a very fast-moving movie, right?
We moved by so quickly.
Yeah.
Also, I want to add that her roommate was sort of hot too, in a weird way. Yes.
Yes.
And I think I was attracted more to her roommate than her, because she had that kind of weird. She was probably into cool music and shit like that.
She was blonde. She kind of all right. There's a great giallo movie called Lizard in a Woman's Skin. She looked like a lizard in a woman's skin.
Literally.
She looked like a reptile. Yeah. Like she had this really kind of crazy,
like a hot reptile,
sexy, cool look to her. Yes.
Yeah,
however, she does not go to the Amazon.
No. That's why I liked her too.
Yes.
She didn't buy into Alejandro's bullshit.
Oh, and wait, what's her line? She has a great line. Oh my God. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if it's either it's saving the rainforest is gay or activism is gay. Like she literally says that in the movie. It's a pretty great line. But anyway, Green Inferno, there's quite a history behind it. It was actually supposed to have come out well over a year ago, and the company that was going to originally put it out, called Open Road Films, had financial difficulties, and which caused it to be pulled. And instead of September 5th, 2014, it came out September 25th, 2015. And the movie itself was shot in 2012. I'm an Eli Roth fan, and I remember hearing about this movie 3 years ago. And it just seems like, the buildup was just so great, And maybe that's one of its drawbacks, Mike, right?
Well, the thing, unlike you, I'm not an Eli Roth fan.
No, you're not. No.
I don't like any of his movies. I don't like him. I don't like his face. I don't like
no, you're not a fan. I like the guy.
And when you told me years ago that he was going to remake, or basically remake Cannibal
the
Holocaust.
word on the street was, it's a Cannibal Holocaust remake. That was the word like 3 years ago.
It's heavily influenced by Cannibal Holocaust.
Right, it is.
I was very dubious about the whole thing. I had very low expectations. I definitely give him props because he's doing like a lot of these like Eli Roth producing types of films, which
you are a fan of the horror series he produced, right? The one you've told me to watch.
Yeah.
What's it called? I don't know if it's Netflix.
Hemlock Grove.
Hemlock Grove. Yeah. Yes, that's his production.
That's not, once again, Hemlock Grove. I'm a sucker for these kind of like middle of the road like horror TV series.
Yes, you do like these horror TV series. You do.
It's not like an extreme horror type scenario, but it's pretty interesting. It's fun, but it's not. It's no Martyrs or
no. We're not talking about right.
But it's like if it's December and it's like snowing out and you're home alone on the weekend. And you could bang out the entire thing and feel like you didn't waste your time. So that's how I feel about it. But yeah, he's producing stuff. I think that's cool, but I'm not a fan of his filmmaking per se. And I don't like him as an actor. Mm-hmm. And, I just don't like the guy that much. I'm sure he's a wonderful man, though.
It had been a long time since his last movie, which was Hostel 2. And like I said, as a fan, I was very excited. Let's be honest. The cannibal jungle genre has been gone for literally almost 30 years, with one exception, a movie called Welcome to the Jungle that a lot of people are completely unaware of, which was from less than 10 years ago.
I never heard of that movie, actually.
It is actually a very good movie. Seek it out, everybody. Welcome to the Jungle. It's actually better than Green Inferno, but I want to talk more about Green Inferno.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, I feel like his intentions were great. His intentions were to bring this kind of lost subgenre of horror to people in 2015. Do you agree?
I totally agree with that. Once again, I give props to him for having his heart in the right place, and the thing is, though, it's maybe this subgenre of film, which is basically, heavily into the exploitation end of things.
Right.
By definition, can't really exist in an above ground setting.
That's
like if you're making an exploitation movie, you're kind of in that subterranean world of exploitation and kind of limited audience appeal. Like, in my opinion, to take that type of film and put it above ground and put it, with a try and hope for a larger audience, I kind of think you're setting yourself up to fail.
Something of note about Green Inferno is that in my head, I didn't know exactly where it was going to show come September 25th. That Friday, I'm at work and I'm looking it up, before we figured out where we were going to see it. It was playing everywhere. Literally every single theater in New York City, it seemed like. And I was very surprised at that because I'm like, wow, now for the subject matter like this is kind of interesting. But the people who saved this movie, I think that's what they wanted. And I think maybe ultimately that's what Eli Roth wanted. He wanted this movie everywhere. But the drawback of that, I feel like, was a movie that really pales in comparison to pretty much every single Cannibal Jungle movie ever made.
Yeah, because to get it everywhere, certain compromises probably had to be made.
They had to be made. Look, a lot of people have seen it at this point. We're going to talk pretty freely about it. In my opinion, there are are two really good scenes. One of the best scenes is the scene where they've actually captured all the kids, the young adults, and they're bringing them into the village. It's a very intense scene.
Yeah.
All the girls are screaming and crying, and it's a very kind of crazy, intense scene. Would you agree?
I would agree. But let me interject a pretty big lapse in logic at this point too.
Okay.
Now, you're in the jungle. Mm-hmm. It's hot and humid. It's probably like 100 degrees.
Right.
Like 98% relative humidity. You know, you're sweating your ass off. The whole reason why these natives thought these guys were evil was because they had these fucked up like raincoats on.
Yes,
basically.
we're gonna backtrack a little bit. The reason they go to the Amazon, is to stop the deforestation, to stop the destruction of the rainforest, and they go there under the guise of people who are a part of that, wearing these these yellow jumpsuits or whatever. And then they chain themselves to like one of the machinery, and they film it. And there's that whole kind of, ecological backdrop to it. Now, what Mike is talking about is that, well, they keep those on.
Exactly.
And nobody's like, at the very least in Cannibal Holocaust and in Cannibal Pharaoh and in all the other ones, people are wearing very minimal clothing. They have shirts off. They have... You know what I'm saying? They're not wearing jumpsuits throughout the movie.
If I was in the jungle, the minute I didn't have to wear that getup, I would take it off.
Yeah, that was a bit right. That's okay.
So that but that's a big logic drop in my mind. The whole reason why they got captured is because they're wearing these jumpsuits.
But I got to tell you, it goes back to the speed of this movie, right, Mike? It starts out they're in Manhattan. They're going to the guys' little seminars about saving things. And then within moments, they're on a plane going to the rainforest. I totally remarked about that. What's up, Rich?
They didn't have time to change.
I guess no, they had no time. They literally had no time to change.
Yeah, I mean, they hustled them onto this. Well, they hustled them onto this plane.
Yeah, very fast.
The plane goes down. They're still wearing their jumpsuits. They get out of the plane. Okay.
The plane crashes.
The plane crashes.
Right?
The plane's always crashed.
Yeah, of course, yes.
And just in my mind, like the whole putting them in the setting of being captured by the natives doesn't hold up in the logic. I mean,
true.
And that's kind of where I started checking out on the film. It was like, okay, let's come up with any reason to get these guys captured by these cannibalistic natives.
That's the thing. When Mike and I, we've been to a bunch of movies together, we do talk minimally during the movies, especially if we're liking it. We were liking the beginning of the movie. We were into it. I have to say, visually, the movie looks beautiful.
Yeah, it was very well
shot. The colors, and it's shot really well.
Yeah. That's what actually I think, because like I was saying earlier when we were hanging out, was that when we walked out of the theater, I actually I was more on board with it.
Yeah.
And as the days went by, I started becoming more critical of it. And because I think the reason why is because we saw it in a big theater on 42nd Street, and it was like it shot really well, and the visual impact of the movie definitely made me, feel I got more out of it than I actually did.
Right. Now, as it goes along, like I said, aside from that scene where they're dragging them into the main village where all the savages live, the first kill among the survivors is brutal. It's this big, chubby guy. They lay him on this rock, and they eviscerate him, and they scoop his eyeballs out, and they show it.
Yeah.
And wow, it packs a punch.
Now that, up until this point, when they killed that fat guy,
we're really liking the movie.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
this
man.
Is gonna be good.
This is going to be great.
Right? And I was like, okay, we got something here,
Well, that's honestly, for a cannibal jungle movie, that's about as sick as the movie got. I got to be honest. Yeah. There are other deaths in the movie. A girl slices her own throat open because she can't take being held captive. Well, we see that on NBC. Yeah. We see that on Fox.
YouTube.
We see that on YouTube. Okay. A while ago, I go on IMDb, and I was certainly on IMDb for this movie before the movie had come out. And I go on their message board, and a guy said, I have the script of this movie. Send me your email. I'll send it to you. He sent me the script. This was a good year and a half ago. In the script that I got, there's a scene where one of the girls is heavily tattooed, and in the script that I read, the scene of her having her tattoos ripped apart with cruel tools is in the movie. In the movie, that is not shown. It is. They don't show it. They show you her tattoos on the little kids in the village walking around with these girls' skin flaps on their body.
Yeah,
that's kind of sick and all.
Yeah.
But again, it is certainly not a girl on a rock having her tattoos removed by savages, which was in the script that I read.
There's a lot of implied violence in the movie.
They should do that here, all these hipsters.
Yeah, I got to tell you, there's some people that probably should be on a rock with their tattoos removed. There should be. I agree.
A lot of them.
A lot of them, yes. It would be very interesting. But, however, again, it was implied. It was not shown. Let's see, the one other scene, again, on paper, in the script that I read, which again might have been a first draft, a second draft, there's a scene where a man is tied to a pole and they put this stuff on him and they let these huge ants loose on him.
And they break every bone in his body, apparently. Too,
right.
Yeah.
But before that, yes, they break all the bones in his body. Now, that scene on paper was insanely brutal. It was pretty brutal on the theater. They get him on the pole, however. I'm going to say the worst CGI insects I've ever seen in my life, Rich.
By far.
The worst. And there isn't even that many on him.
Nope.
When they show, it looks like there's like 10 ants on him. Like there's supposed to be this stream of huge ants crawling up from the village and going up his body and blah, blah, blah. It's bad. It's really bad. And I was shocked at how bad it was because when I read, I was gearing up for this awesome scene. Holy shit, it was terrible.
But it's not the ants from them.
No, it is not the ants from them. No.
3 or 4 of them, that's all you need.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and the other thing too, it's sort of related to this whole thing of like these scenes that you read in the script.
Uh-huh.
Where, you know, remember when you read about Taxi Driver?
Okay.
You know, and they had the blood at the end. It's like
it's pretty brutal. Yeah.
Right, but also the color. They're not using red blood. There was a whole compromise apparently to not get an X rating on Taxi Driver, where they had to like decolorize the blood because the blood is dark. Right.
Oh, interesting.
So they had to do these little compromises to get that R rating, right? So that seems to me that, but a bad motherfucker like Martin Scorsese didn't cut those scenes out.
No, well,
he just did some colorization.
But it's funny that you bring up Taxi Driver, Mike. In the 70s, up until 83, I'm gonna say, okay, 82, 83. Film, you were able to get away with more. You were able to just, it really was like more experimental, especially in the horror world.
Oh, yeah.
You were able to do things with violence, with just
nudity.
Nudity that, well, I mean, look, I don't like that this is the 2015 world we're in, but you just can't get away with in 2015. And it's not because we don't want it like that way. It's because I know the powers that be don't want it that way.
Yeah, and that kind of relates to what I was saying earlier, where it's like movies like this probably don't belong playing in major theaters.
No, they don't.
Think that the audience is more than happy to like video on demand or just independent theaters.
I said to you, Mike, I was like, you know what? Maybe if like another director did this kind of movie, did a Jungle Cannibal movie this year, next year, and had X amount of budget, and really kind of gave the movie that you thought you were going to get, and it went straight to DVD or straight to video on demand, I bet it might be a more visceral movie, right?
Totally. I agree with that.
Eli Roth is Eli Roth now. He's kind of a Hollywood guy.
Absolutely. They're
giving him the next Shark franchise. He's doing this movie, everybody, called Meg, that apparently is gonna be the new goddamn Jaws. He has it. It's his fucking movie. It's gonna be a huge movie. Okay? That's the word on the street. That's the word in Hollywood. It's his movie. It's getting made. The filming is going on right now. It's called Meg. It's based on a book. What's interesting is that last week, another new Eli Roth movie came out Knock Knock came out in theaters last week.
Oh, doesn't it have what's her name is in that too?
His wife is in it.
Yeah,
his wife is in it too. Yeah, and which is a loose remake of a late '70s movie called Death Game. I don't want to get into it because it's not on the schedule to talk about this movie, but it bombed even more than Green Inferno. However, Meg is happening, and I believe Meg is supposed to be this huge shark movie. It's supposed to be a really big thing, and I hope it's awesome, and I understand there's going to be a lot of money behind it, blah, blah, blah. But he made Knock Knock again about a year and a half ago. He made Green Inferno almost 3 years ago, so it is what it is, you know?
Yeah, like I said, man, I think that, I don't really think he has a lot of talent as a director really, or a writer. You know what I mean?
Cabin Fever is a lot of fun. Hostel 1 and 2, I enjoyed these movies. I actually really did. I equate them with the big horror boom of the mid 2000s. No, Mike? I mean, they helped kind of.
No, I mean,
you know,
look, I gave him props for that, for having, you know, his heart in the right place and everything, but I just don't enjoy his movies. You know what I mean? When there's a guy like Eli Roth out there, and then there's a guy like Jim Van Bever who can't get a fucking cent to make movies, I feel like there's no justice in that situation.
I hear you.
If they gave Jim Van Bever a budget to make Green Inferno, you would have the right movie.
I guess you're right.
You would have the movie that we're talking about.
Well, it's worth noting that the budget of Green Inferno was $5 million. Again, I mean, that's not a lot of money, but it is what it is. The movie has made just about $8 million. It made its money back, but Jesus Christ, $8 million.
It's not killing it. Yeah.
No, it's bad.
The one thing that I did like about that movie, about Green Inferno, is their sort of commentary on social media, and
I was going to bring that up,
and the sort of social, you know, injustice warrior.
He actually sticks it to social justice warriors. He kind of sticks it to like the PC in the movie, which I did enjoy. He does actually, if you're really paying attention.
But that's not like when I go see a jungle cannibal movie. That's not.
That's
really,
the least of my concern.
Yeah, that's the least of my concerns. I want to see like brutality and people.
All right, people who haven't seen it, it's. If you're like, is it like Cannibal Holocaust? No, not really. Well, it's in a jungle. But
Cannibal Holocaust just had this like, well, number one, there was no animal mutilation in this movie.
Well, there's two things worth noting. Green Inferno has 0 animal mutilations, and there's no crazy ass rapes in the movie either. Right? There's right, exactly. Those are the two things that are not in the movie.
Let's see it then.
But they do hint at some female genital mutilation.
Yeah, they do. There's a scene in the college in New York where they're taking a class on, I guess, like African studies or whatever, and they talk about how in the tribes and whatnot that genital mutilation exists. And then sure enough, there's a scene where they line up 3 of the survivor girls in Green Inferno, and the head, you know, crazy woman of the tribe, the witch doctor, kind of takes a blade and puts a knife right by their vagicias and just kind of keeps it there for like a moment. But it doesn't they don't really show anything, and they don't really do anything, and they're not getting stabbed. She literally just kind of puts it there and takes it away. She puts it there enough for the girls to get freaked out. And that's the scene. It's like,
you were let down.
Yes, because look, man, I still like Eli Roth. I do. But if I think either this genre of horror probably just doesn't belong in every goddamn theater in America, number one. And number two, if you're gonna do it, right? I mean, do it. No? And he didn't do it.
It's like when you listen to Carcass, you know, it's like you listen to those early Carcass records,
right,
and then you listen to Heartwork.
There's a huge difference.
Fucking big difference.
I love Heartwork, but there's a huge difference. No, you don't even like Heartwork. Oh, no. Yeah, it's weird, people, for the metalheads out there. I can't believe there are people that don't even like Heartwork. Like, I hate Swan Song. Most people hate Swan Song. But there are these people out there that even hate Heartwork, which kind of boggles my mind. I liked
Heartwork better when it was called Power Slave.
Oh, get out of here. Anyway, actually, I hear 2 bands on Heartwork. I hear Megadeth, and I hear late Creator. That's what I hear on that. I hear later 80s Creator. But anyway.
But the point I'm trying to make, though, is like, you listen to early Carcass, and you just dirt. It's like
It's
chaos,
okay.
fucking ugliness.
Yeah.
That's what when you go see a movie that's a jungle cannibal fucking movie, you want to see chaos, brutality, and all that
It's
stuff.
not in this movie.
You don't want to see this cleaned up version.
Mike, a lot of people ask me, is it worth seeing in the theater?
Well, if you're going to see it, I would see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not worth seeing it on like
Don't
a small
buy.
format.
Yeah.
Don't buy
Well,
it.
here's the thing. We all kind of said maybe on the disc there'll be a different cut. Maybe I've heard nothing about this, by the way. I've heard nothing about
It's all
director's cut about
speculation at
right.
this
No.
point.
If there is, then cool. I'll check it out. If there isn't, then I will not be buying this movie. If there is nothing that ups the ante on this Blu-ray DVD, I'm avoiding the movie. So, Mike, on our scale of 1 to 5, what are you giving Green Inferno?
I'm going to give it a 1 just because of the fucking
Wow.
dismemberment scene. The dismemberment scene was cool. And like that lizard girl with the blonde hair was pretty hot, I thought. But she wasn't in the movie enough.
No, she's barely in the movie. Mike is giving it a 1 out of 5. I am giving Green Inferno a 2.5 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have seen way worse. 1 to me is for really, really bad movies. So that's
I think
interesting.
maybe because you know what it is for me? It's
But
like
2.5 out of 5 for me is pretty bad, actually.
I was like I had low expectations going into it. Then I was like stoked about it. I was like, oh, maybe this will be cool. And I went and I was let down. So I feel doubly offended by it because I normally wouldn't go see an Eli Roth movie. And then I got excited about it because I'm like, well, maybe, I'll give him a shot. It's like an interesting subject for him to do. And then when I went, I was excited when we left. Remember I was talking about it on the way out?
Yeah, I remember.
I was not so bad.
You went from like stoked to 1.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
interesting. Wow.
It's been how many weeks? It's been
4 weeks, 3.5.
About 3.5 weeks.
3 weeks.
A week after the show.
Maybe I would have had a different rating, but as the last like several weeks went by, I started hating on it more and more, and I was like, man, and then the ending, let's fuck it. I don't care about who's good. I don't want to even.
All right, now here's the thing. There's a sole survivor, which is his hot wife. Okay, she's the sole survivor of the movie, and it's a bit of a nod to Cannibal Pharaoh. The ending of Cannibal Pharaoh has the woman going, well, the savages were nice to me and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't, the girl comes back and she's talking to her dad who works for the foreign embassy or whatever. And she's talking to, I believe, police or government people.
Yeah, some government people.
And they ask her what happened to everybody. And she says, everyone died in the crash. And the natives were nice to me and took care of me until the people came to rescue me.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes. Because here's the thing. She started out the movie not being a PC weirdo. She sees the cute guy who's the PC weirdo, and she's enamored with him, and she becomes enamored with the cause. And ultimately, the people who fucking ate her friends got a free pass because she's a freaking PC weirdo.
Well, she's not a snitch.
No, it's not even not a snitch. It's these people that's just who they are, and we need to let them. It's just it's a mix of Stockholm Syndrome / horrendous liberalism, in my opinion. That's really what it is. And that's where I have to give Eli Roth props. Because he actually said that he is not with that. He's against PC. He's against social justice warriors. There were social justice warriors, oh my God, it was a small number, that made a petition to block this movie because it portrayed people in the jungle and Amazon as savages. That's a true story. It wasn't it was like literally 2,000 signatures, but he laughed at that.
Those motherfuckers,
horrible.
They need to pump the brakes on that because, first of all, this is a work of fiction.
Yes.
This is a fucking fantasy movie.
Yeah.
Okay? We're not trying, no one's putting this out there as a documentary film that every savage in fucking South America
eats people. Right.
Eats people,
right.
People gotta lighten up on that shit,
Yeah,
man.
really,
And, I mean, you can't say anything anymore without this backlash.
it's terrible. And at least you're on the page with Eli about that.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I would have fucking napalmed that whole fucking jungle if you ask me. You know, first I would have recommended not going there. I would have been like, look, let's stay the fuck out of there.
Really.
You know, let's let these motherfuckers do their thing, and that's it.
For perspective, for the listeners, you got a 1.75 average rating out of 5.
That's the quick math, man.
What would you give Cannibal Holocaust? I'm going to give it 5.
Bro.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I really like that movie, and it's a kind of a 5 for me,
That's
actually.
a 5 for me,
All right.
too.
I really like it.
Cannibal Feroz, 4.5. Almost as good, not quite, but almost as good.
It doesn't have, a lot of what sells me on Cannibal Holocaust is the hyper-realism.
Yep.
Cannibal Feroz doesn't necessarily have it. Another thing that sells me on Cannibal Holocaust is the music. The music in Cannibal Feroz is cool. It's not as amazing as Riz Ortolani's score to Cannibal Holocaust, which to me is just fucking brilliant. And I liked the ending better in Cannibal Holocaust. I liked it. Who are the real savages?
Yeah.
I love that. I don't know, something about that.
Yeah,
I love
there's
that.
I definitely get. I mean, to me, Cannibal Holocaust is a Citizen Kane of jungle.
Of the jungle? Yes, it is. No.
Fucking jungle cannibal.
No, and honestly, Mike, it's in some ways it's the only one you need to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
it's
with
the
you on
only
that.
one you need to see.
Cannibal Feroz is cool. Check it out, but
It's crazy and it's
good,
over the
but
top.
It's still good. You know?
I've seen a bunch. That's one of the better ones. Here's another one. You didn't talk about it today.
Mm-hmm.
Jungle Holocaust.
I've seen it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Look, they all have their moments. Almost all of them have real animal killing. Isn't that crazy?
That's
almost all of them do.
Yeah.
Wow. All of them. Like, unbelievably. But only one required the director to trot in the cast into an Italian courtroom, and that is Cannibal Holocaust.
Yes.
That is a true story.
For a year afterwards, none of the actors they had to disappear.
Ruggero Deodato was ordered by the Italian courts. No,
Was it for the turtles?
no.
They thought the actors actually got killed.
The three actors. The three.
Shit, yeah,
yes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
They had beef over the turtle kill.
No.
yeah,
Here's
for
the
sure
sad
they had
part.
that,
Here's the sad part. Not that much, because 1980 everyone was insane. So. It wasn't that big a deal, actually, guys. The animal killings were really, sadly, not a big deal for these movies. They actually were not. The Italian courts were super bugged out by the people killings in Cannibal Holocaust, and they wanted proof that these were actors. They wanted proof that this was a movie. Like, isn't that unbelievable?
Actually, like thinking back to that time frame, you probably I mean that movie.
Okay, there's a movie from the late 70s called Food of the Gods, where they have all these rats.
Yep.
Apparently, tons of real rats were killed during that movie, and that's like 77, 78. Look, it was what it was back then. So
there wasn't the awareness of animal cruelty.
There wasn't that little thing at the end of the movie that shows no animal was harmed.
Yeah.
And
Nobody likes
it just
rats
didn't
in
exist.
2015.
Right, no. But it just didn't exist back then. The animal care didn't exist. It literally didn't exist. No.
I remember the ad in the paper for Cannibal Holocaust.
Wow.
And it was ill looking. And I was a kid. I was like 10 years old. So I'm looking at the thing like, fuck. Fuck.
Yeah,
It looked ill, even though I didn't see it till a couple of years later. But
And there's a cool thing when you buy Cannibal Holocaust, which is a gorgeous DVD and Blu-ray from Grindhouse Releasing.
I just got it.
You have the option to have the animal killings not in the movie on the DVD. You can watch the straight original movie, or if the animal killings bother you, which they bother quite a few people, you can watch it where they're not in the movie. So, kind of cool. I've never watched that option. I've only watched the straight movie, and I saw the straight movie at Landmark on a midnight showing one night with my ex-girlfriend, who didn't talk to me for about 2 days. But, she went with me. These things happen. Vegan Holocaust. I think I want an independent filmmaker out there to make Vegan Holocaust where it kills, millennial hipsters. What do you think? I think that'd be a great
totally
movie.
down with that, man.
Great movie.
Another thing too about movies from back then is like, I wouldn't have been. I mean, there was the movie Snuff, which wanted you to believe that people were actually killed in that fucking movie.
Yes.
So in my mind, that, forming, juvenile mind that I had back then, I wouldn't have been surprised if people were fucking actually killing
Well,
me.
I'm going to make I don't know if you're aware of this about Snuff. Most of that movie was made by director Michael Finlay. And it's kind of a riff on the Manson culture.
Yeah.
The very end of that movie was shot completely independent of that movie and was tacked on to the end of that movie and was shot in Manhattan in someone's freaking apartment. Like that scene where they kill the girl or whatever and the movie's over. Yeah. The movie that you're watching for 98% of that movie was a standalone movie on its own. Isn't that crazy? Like it was shot in South America. Yeah. It's like that's its own movie. That ending and all that stuff. It has absolutely nothing to do with the ending of Snuff.
So now, and that's interesting you say that because that sketchiness in filmmaking from that era.
Was the old New York,
that was
like,
the old school way of making these types
I gotta
of
be
movies.
honest. I fucking wish that I was really able to experience seeing these movies in the theaters back then. I mean, look, there are days where I wish I was 10 years younger. There are days I wish I was 10 years older. I really wish I was able to have seen these movies in a theater with no internet, with no knowledge of the behind the scenes, with no, oh my God, just like these crazy ass movies freaking me the fuck out in a sketch environment.
Because you had to go into the environment completely. Like you couldn't be hanging out in your living room and stream it online. Like you had to descend into that whole nether world of that whole fucking trip.
Absolutely.
I mean? But, some dude getting a hand job, like guys nodding off.
Someone getting mugged, someone peeing on the floor, whatever.
Wash your pants after you left the theater.
Yeah, no, look.
Don't sit on your couch when you get home.
And I love that there's so many people out there that are into that era and appreciate that era and long for that era. I mean, I think it's great. And, look. Sure, maybe it wasn't so fantastic for all the people sitting in the theater back then, but I don't know. Things are so sanitized now that we're literally longing for something like that now, right?
Yeah, I mean, Eli Roth could not have made that movie. You know what I mean? It just couldn't happen that way. I mean, like I said, you need a guy like Jim Van Bever to make a movie like that. Someone who would do it on like a fraction of the money and still make this like amazing film. And it would have that rawness to it, You can't come in there with, even though the $5 million's not like a big budget necessarily.
No, it actually isn't.
But the movie it can't be shot well. It can't have like all this stuff. Otherwise, it just comes off as a false type of film.
So there you have the Necromaniacs podcast take on Green Inferno. Mike, would you like to kick off our next film? Would you like to do Berberian Sound Studio?
Yeah. This movie came out in June 14th of 2013. So this is not
America.
a new movie.
UK 2012 it came out, actually.
Came out in 2012, and it's written and directed by Peter Strickland, who the only thing I know of,
British
a British guy, he did a Bjork documentary.
Yeah.
So he's a relatively new, filmmaker.
And I mean, technically, this is considered. It's a British horror movie that happens to take place in Italy and feature a lot of Italian speaking roles. Yeah.
Yeah. But the star
Gilderoy
is this guy Toby Jones.
Yes, Toby Jones. Yeah.
And but everyone else in the cast is Italian.
Yes, correct.
And the score is by Broadcast, which I thought was really cool.
Fantastic. And a great thing about this movie, the opening credits of the movie are the opening credits, of the movie that they're making in the movie. And I think that's so cool.
It's called The Equestrian
Vortex. And it's an Italian horror movie. It's more of a supernatural horror. It's not really giallo. I mean, the word on the street is that it's giallo. It's not really giallo. The giallo vibe is more about is about Berberian Sound Studio. The movie they're making is a little bit more of a Suspiria kind of movie.
Yeah, the Equestrian Vortex is about a group of girls at a boarding school, and they happen upon the ghosts of tortured and killed
dead witches. Yeah. Wow. I
want to see
the
that
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Everybody. If you love Goblin, if you love the band Zombie, just blind buy this soundtrack.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
I found that you have it on vinyl.
Yes, I got the vinyl.
I found it actually at these still exist. The real record store.
Oh, yes, of course.
There's a record store here in Brooklyn called Earwax that I thought closed actually years ago. And I happened to be walking down North 10th Street or something. The only reason I was there was because I had to buy something there.
Mike, it's okay. It's okay.
But I'm walking down the street and I see, oh shit, Earwax is still open. It still exists. So I went in there. I bought a Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes record. And this soundtrack, the Berberian Sound Studio soundtrack.
Fantastic soundtrack. It's like if you love, like I said, if you love Goblin stuff, if you love zombie stuff, blind by the fucker. Anyway, continue, Mike.
All right, so this guy Gilderoy, he's a sound engineer. Mostly works on wildlife and children's movies. Okay, so he gets a job out in Italy, so he has to fly out to Italy, and he comes into the post-production aspect of this film where he's doing sound effects. They're doing some ADRs
of Equestrian Vortex, the movie.
Yeah, of Equestrian Vortex, this brutal supernatural horror film. Which I wish someone would make this movie.
Oh,
I'd love to see it. So the first thing we notice is just the sort of chaotic nature of the way all of the production staff is working. And, it's a little crazy, and but then the intensity of what he's watching in the film and also the sound effects that he's having to recreate starts.
It's a nice build. Yeah. The poor guy is a fish out of water. He's a Brit. In Italy, doesn't know anybody, doesn't, fish out of water kind of thing. And he's surrounded by all these kind of intense Italian people.
Who probably work together quite a bit.
Right. And, I mean, they speak English to him, but a lot of time they're speaking Italian. And the poor guy, that he's trying to get paid back for the flight he took from the UK to Italy. They're dicking him around with the money, and you kind of feel for him.
Now, I'm just going to interject a little funny thing here too. Is have any of you guys ever been to Italy?
No, not Italy. No.
Been
to Europe.
I've been to Italy a couple times on tour, and that's the thing that made me laugh about it.
Oh no!
How I love Italy.
I think I almost know what you're going to say.
It's a beautiful country. Right. The people I know in Italy are great people. However, they don't do business very well down there.
I knew is it very kind of, we'll get to that kind of willy-nilly kind of, totally. It's okay. Yeah. You gotta get paid? We'll do that later kind of thing. Is that what,
that's what made me laugh. Cause
that's the vibe in this movie.
This Gilderoy guy shows up and all he wants to do, he has receipts for his flight. And they're like, always with the money. It's like, what is it with you English people,
Every time you say Gilderoy, I want to go, Gilderoy!
Yes. Celtic Frost reference, hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
But it's really funny you say that. Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, that's what made me laugh, because that is like a very northern versus southern European cultural difference. So much so that one time, we were on tour with this band, The Secret, who are Italian. And we were driving into Italy from Germany, and there was none of those. I'm like, let's stop and eat, man. I'm starving. They're like, no, not in Germany. We wait. So we pull into the auto grill, and it was night and day difference between Germany and Italy. The food in Germany was bland and whatever, and then you go to Italy and it's just like I got like fresh pasta and like you know, like ham and all that stuff. Anyway, I don't want to get too far on that tangent.
Right. That's interesting though.
So the thing that I thought was really interesting about the movie is you don't actually ever see any scenes from Equestrian Vortex. Like the intensity of the scenes.
You see the kind of, not the making of, but you're kind of right. You see the voiceovers they do.
Voiceovers.
You hear the music, you hear the audio.
Yeah.
You do not see actual scenes of the movie. That is correct.
And you see the toll it's taking on Gilderoy.
Yes.
Okay. And also the way that they're making all these sound effects is like they're chopping up all these like, vegetables and, you know, watermelons and everything. And the scene I think that sticks out is there's a scene in the movie where they have to make a sound effect for a hot knife going into like some witch's vagina.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're throwing like water on a red hot skillet. And making this,
yes, that's right.
And Gilderoy keeps missing his cue on that one because it's starting to fuck with him.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
He's a sound engineer after all.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the movie basically is about the deterioration of his, you know, his sanity or whatever. You know?
Yes. And here's the thing, though. I mean, I've read other people's reviews and thoughts about it. It's boring. What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. I'll say this about this movie. If you're not a fan of Italian cinema, if you're not a fan of Italian horror cinema, I don't know if you're going to really be all that interested in this movie, Mike. Like,
I agree with
this
that.
Is a small audience movie.
Yes.
Would you agree with that statement?
100%.
It's not for everybody at all. You might be bored by this movie.
If you love Italian horror, though, if you're a fan
not bored.
Yeah, if you're a Dario
not.
Argento fan, a Lucio Fulci fan, then this, especially a Dario Argento fan.
Yeah, like, and not so much because the movie is crazy violent or anything.
It has
There's a
slow
vibe.
build. Yeah.
There's a vibe to this movie that definitely lends to European horror as a blanket statement.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a fan of European horror, if you're definitely the Italian stuff, you'll find this movie interesting. And maybe even if you're a British horror fan, you might find this movie interesting.
It's a slow build. You have to pay attention. You know, it's very atmospheric.
And they're also, it's not even 100% a horror movie in a lot of ways.
Because they're actually in some, there's really no violence in it.
It's a thriller.
Psychological thriller.
It's a psychological thriller. It's not really a horror movie, everybody. It's about the making of a horror movie in a way. But it's not what some people think it was going to be, I feel like.
Yeah. But, and then so I don't know if we want to spoil it for everybody, but the ending.
It's 3 years old. We can.
Yeah. The ending it's an interesting thing. It sort of is open to interpretation what actually happened in the movie. You know?
Some people feel like he is trapped in the movie that he's a part of making, right? That's one way of thinking that's what the crux is, that he's forever in this world of making this movie that's never going to be finished, that has all these problems, that has the actresses leaving and quitting. We could bring that up. Like, one of the actresses doing the voiceovers is kind of like sexually harassed, and apparently she's raped, and she quits, and he kind of has like a thing for her, and there's all these things that happen, throughout the making of the movie that add to kind of like the what's going on factor, right?
Yeah. Also, there's no record of his flight either.
Oh, yeah, we got to bring that up.
Yeah.
One of the last times he's going over to the secretary trying to get paid, and she's, she keeps kind of blowing him off, right? And then apparently, he never took a flight there. It's like, never took, what? Like, well, what is he doing there? Where did he come from?
So that's one of the only real supernatural elements in the movie.
Another interesting thing that I was going to bring up is that some people, this one particular reviewer I found that on IMDb, I thought it was interesting. It says that it's a movie within yet another movie.
Okay.
Because if you can remember, at the very end, he's speaking fluent Italian.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's been there from the start of making this movie that might be about a British guy making a movie. No? I mean, it's kind of weird. It gets very strange.
Yeah, you see, the second time I watched it, I picked up on that because it's on Netflix right now, by the way.
Yes.
So you can watch it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Times.
It's on DVD and Blu-ray, but it is on Netflix, yes.
And, I watched it once. and I didn't really. And then I read. There's a couple reviews that talk about that, and then I was like, let me watch this again, and I'm like, yeah, maybe it is about like this. Maybe he's always been there, and it's sort of blurring the lines between, who like of what's the film and what's real life, because at the end of the film he's speaking fluent Italian. There's no record of him flying from England to Italy.
Right.
So at the end of the film, he's an Italian. Making this movie about a British guy making a movie about the supernatural horror film.
Interesting. Yeah, totally.
So that's kind of how I pieced it together, too.
Now, something else about the soundtrack. The soundtrack, one could argue, is the soundtrack to Equestrian Vortex. It's if you really listen to it, all like the names of like the tracks and everything, I mean, it's to the movie. But it's literally to the movie they're making in the movie. It's kind of interesting in that respect.
Yeah, because it has all the screams and stuff.
Yes,
on it.
exactly.
Yeah, and that actually was very effective. The fact that you're not seeing what's going on the screen, and there are these brutal scenes that they're putting sound effects to, but you're you're experiencing the making of the sound effects, and they zoom in on these like chopped up, watermelons and cabbages and shit like that, and you're just like, oh fuck,
Here's something I have about the soundtrack. It's kind of sad. Berberian Sound Studio. It's an original soundtrack album by the British band Broadcast. The album is a soundtrack to the Peter Strickland film, Berberian Sound Studio. Recording for the album began after Strickland approached Broadcast members James Cargill and Trish Keenan about providing the music for the soundtrack to an unseen fictional film contained in the movie Berberian Sound Studio.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets kind of sad. Cargill completed the album following the sudden death of Keenan in 2011.
Yeah, I know that someone's dead in Broadcast.
And and the soundtrack was released in January of 2013 and marked Broadcast's first new material since 2009. So it's kind of a sad story about the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Great stuff, though.
Funny thing is, if you're not into Italian horror, you should still buy the soundtrack.
Yeah,
the soundtrack's amazing.
Like say you like the Goblin music, but you're not necessarily you're not a crazy ass Italian horror fan or whatever.
Goblin just play here.
They played. Well, it wasn't that recently.
Goblins, actually.
It's weird. There's two running around. There's one without Claudio Simonetti and one with Claudio Simonetti. Claudio Simonetti is one of the originals, but the one without him has original members too. It's kind of like the Queensryche and Rat situation, where there's several incarnations. Queensryche, Rat, LA Gun situation. It's like that, unfortunately.
There's Jeff Tate's Queensryche,
and there's the one without him on Century Media. And there are 3 rats currently, and that's a whole other thing. There's 3.
There's only 4 members in the fucking band.
There's Stephen Percy going out with his band. Juan Crochet now is singing and playing bass with his band, and Warren DeMartini is retaining the rights to something he's going to do.
But are they all calling it like Rat?
They have Rat involved in the name. Yep. To me, that's 3 rats. So anyway,
3 rats too many if you ask me. But anyway,
So Berberian Sound Studio. What would you give it on a 1 to 5, Mike?
I'll give it a 4.5.
I also give it a 4.5.
Yeah, I really loved it.
I really liked it.
It's on Netflix. I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
I can't recommend. All right, look, if you love, like I said, once again, if you like Italian horror films, it's slow. It's got that whole vibe and atmosphere. It's
let's
great.
talk about Toby Jones's fucking awesome acting.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Toby Jones as Gilderoy.
He played Truman Capote in he's a great actor.
Yeah,
he's a fucking great actor.
The score is great.
Rich, you'll love the music. You'll love the music.
Like good-looking chicks in it,
Yeah,
it's
cool.
Always, but they're like those Italian European type ladies.
I tell you, technically, like I said, this is considered a British horror movie, but it's very much like an Italian movie. It's very cool.
Everyone's Italian except for the main character.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's very much an Italian film.
Oh, totally. But if you haven't seen it already, I feel like some of the people who listen to us might have seen this movie already because the word around it, the giallo thing was thrown around a lot with this movie.
It's definitely not. Well, actually, it isn't a giallo at all.
No, not really. No.
And Equestrian Vortex.
Some people call it a giallo homage, though, in a little way.
I think our next film was
absolutely
along those lines.
Absolutely, though.
But I think people get confused when they loosely use that term giallo.
Yeah, I have to bring something up before we go into the next movie.
Clarify
for God's sake, can we stop calling Suspiria and the Beyond giallo movies? For God's sake. Those are they're horror movies. They're supernatural fucking horror movies. There is no unseen black-gloved killer stalking pretty girls in these fucking movies. Like, I mean, they don't have, I don't know, they're Italian. That's like, I feel like some people, just because it's Italian, are throwing that word around.
Cruising,
and that's really
giallo.
not the case. Oh yeah, there's plenty of movies that are giallos.
Cruising.
And even though we're discussing that a bit in the next movie, I would like to possibly dedicate the next one to really discussing giallos or a very future, Necromaniacs, to really getting down to the nitty gritty of what they are, because I don't know, there's a lot of people that are really confused, I feel like, and it's so annoying. However, this movie has moments of it, Berberian Sound Studio. There are scenes where the person who shuts off the projector is wearing black gloves. They're nods. I mean, they're absolutely nods.
Right.
And the vibe it's there a little bit. But to me, it's just more of an Italian horror vibe, or a European horror vibe.
Yeah. Cruising. A gay American giallo.
Yeah. It's the movie that most
really
people
is.
who are Al Pacino fans might not even be aware that the movie exists. But it's a really cool movie that we'll probably
Black
discuss.
glove.
Absolutely.
Knife,
well, hidden. Just like you don't know who it is till the end, and then you don't even know who it is at the end. So it's it's a fantastic movie. It's a horror movie that's not a horror movie.
Do you think that was completely like a coincidence that it actually has all these giallo elements in it?
I don't think it's coincidence. There's a great article out there that lists 15 American movies that were influenced by Italian thrillers, giallo thrillers. And there's only so much evidence that says yes, they were. I mean, some were, clearly, and maybe the director will admit it. But there are others where the director may or may not. It might be coincidental. And among those movies are, Cruisin', Body Double, Dress to Kill, and some other really great movies. I would like to really discuss that next time, though.
Body Double is a great film.
All those movies, Eyes of Laura Mars, even movies that make it into the 90s actually on this list. It's a really great list. You could, if you Google searched American giallo films, I think this article is the first thing that pops up. It's a really good article.
So our next film, actually, speaking of giallos,
yes,
is pretty heavily influenced by
absolutely. One could say it is, in a weird way, it's a comedy horror spoof of giallos in a way, right? Or a comedy horror tribute.
Yeah, it's I would say tribute, a satirical tribute.
Yes,
because it's not. It's you can tell that the filmmakers are fans.
Yes,
like they're not trying to like have a piss, with it.
And the movie, of course, is The Editor, from the Astron 6 group based out of Canada. Real quick about who Astron 6 are. Astron 6 is a film production and directing company founded in 2007 by Adam Brooks and Jeremy Gillespie. Company later went on to include Matt Kennedy, Connor Sweeney, and Steven Kostansky. There are only 5 in the Astron 6, so it's kind of their little play on words. There's only 5 guys involved. They're all equal partners in the company. Astron 6 is known for producing low-budget, 80s-centric independent movies that often combine horror and comedy. The company was also the focus of a 2012 documentary called No Sleep, No Surrender, which details the making of their big breakout movie, Father's Day. Father's Day is fantastic. Troma helped release it in America. They had this crazy falling out with Troma that I'm not going to get into because I don't know all the details of it.
We don't want to get sued.
They are on bad terms with Troma, Astron 6, which is why The Editor is through the fantastic Shout Factory / Scream Factory, who make amazing DVDs and Blu-rays of horror films. I'm sure a lot of you listening are familiar with Shout Factory, Scream Factory. The Editor is through those guys. It came out just a few weeks ago, actually, on DVD and Blu-ray. The Editor. It had it's more of a theatrical run in Canada. I don't think it has actually screened in New York yet. I understand there might be plans for it to screen in New York. It did all the festivals last year, actually, Mike. Not this year. It did them last year.
The release date's actually 2014.
Yes, that's
right?
why.
Yeah.
Exactly. It hit. It's a 2014 movie that didn't get its DVD Blu-ray release till 2015. I'm counting it as a 2015 movie, though, Mike. So
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the cool thing about it is the directors are Adam Brooks and Matthew Kennedy. They're also stars of the movie. And they also helped write the movie. Like, the guys in Astronaut 6 are all hands-on-deck guys, and I think that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm starting to become a fan. I've only seen 2 Astronaut 6 films. I saw this one and Manborg.
You have not seen Father's Day?
I haven't seen it yet.
Mike, Father's Day is insane. It is almost more, I don't know, in some ways more over the top and more obscene than some of the more obscene moments in The Editor, actually. So it's kind of, I would highly recommend you see it.
I read about it in Rue Morgue.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Rue Morgue, being a Canadian magazine, are tremendous proponents of Astron 6. That's how I heard of them. They put Father's Day on the cover 3 years ago. That's, really how I heard of them.
They actually had a small feature about Astron 6 too.
Yes, exactly.
There were a couple issues ago, I think.
Yeah. Well, they put The Editor on the cover a few
Well,
issues
The Editor
ago.
was on the last issue, but then there was like a little feature that was maybe 1 or 2 issues back that had a little blurb about the whole company.
And I'm just going to do a little synopsis of the movie The Editor. Ray Ciso was once the greatest editor the world had ever seen until a horrific accident left him with 4 wooden fingers on his right hand. So he's had to resort to cutting, lesser films and trash movies. On the latest movie he's working on, the actors in the film start being murdered one at a time, and Ray is fingered as the number 1 suspect. The bodies continue to pile up in this absurdist giallo thriller as Ray struggles to prove his innocence and learn the sinister truth lurking behind the scenes of all the murders.
Very, very well put, Mike.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, here's the thing. People have asked me, well, is it a giallo film? In some ways, it is a giallo film.
I agree with that.
Visually?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Musically?
Yep.
Absolutely it is.
Claudio Simonetti actually...
He contributes to some of the soundtrack. This is another movie with a knockout score. The score is not available yet, though. It is coming soon. I actually sent them a Facebook message, Astron 6, and they wrote back to me. They said they're working on it, hopefully sooner than later. That's what they said. The soundtrack is coming. Awesome, very giallo-inspired soundtrack. Very cool music. Now, the thing is, if you've seen Father's Day and if you've seen, Manborg, or if you've seen all their shorts that are collected, there's a 2-disc collection of all their shorts as well. That's really, really funny, cool stuff.
I gotta check that out.
They mix their comedy with horror. Some people don't like comedy horror. I always kind of felt I was one of the people that didn't really like comedy horror, but then I thought about, well, I love Return of the Living Dead, I love Fright Night, and I love Shaun of the Dead, so maybe I'm not as anti-comedy horror as I thought I was, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely along those that mindset too, Mike. Mm-hmm. But when it's done well, like it's done in The Editor.
That's the thing. When it's done well, exactly. It's not one of these shitty new movies.
Because I hated Scream, honestly.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
when that came out years ago or whatever.
You know what? The first one is cool. It got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about Scream. And just kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies got worse and worse and worse when they hammed up Freddy and, you know what I'm saying?
First Nightmare on Elm Street was actually...
It's amazing.
Pretty scary. You know?
And even the third one is decent. After that, it gets shitty. But this movie is loaded with references to great Italian movies, both giallo and non-giallo. I wrote down some of the ones that I literally counted among them. The Beyond is referenced.
Yep.
Hitchhike with David Hess is referenced. Suspiria is referenced. Tenebrae is referenced. One of the greatest giallos ever made, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, is referenced. Blackberry of the Tarantula is referenced. Zombie, the movie Zombie from Lucio Fulci, is referenced. City of the Living Dead, Gates of Hell is referenced in this movie. Stunt Rock, a really shitty
I never even seen
Lucio Fulci movie. Old movie is referenced. And they themselves admitted Berberian Sound Studio is is in this movie.
Well, let's also call to that there's actually a similarity between these two films. Well, basically about
in the interview in Rue Morgue, they said they saw Berberian Sound Studio and they were bummed out at how great they were like, oh my God, like they loved it. They wanted, like, they were jealous of it, basically. That's the vibe I got. Like, and sure enough, the crux of this movie, I mean, I don't know if the plot line came from that. I feel like maybe some of the visuals came from it.
But, you know, it's about a guy working on a horror film.
Who's an editor. Who's a film editor. Right.
Where Gilderoy was a sound
editor. Right. Yeah. Another part of the genesis of this movie for Astronaut 6 was this, a friend of theirs did this thing where, people in the horror community got to make fake movie posters. And there was this showing of fake movie posters. And the main movie poster image of the editor, that projection with the blood and that was the one they submitted, that they had someone make for them. And they say in the making of, which comes on the Blu-ray, they were like, well, we have this cool poster. Let's make a movie. Isn't that interesting? Like they had the poster to the movie before a moment of the movie was made.
Huh. Well, it's actually, you know, a lot of these, back in the day, they would make trailers first before they actually made the movie.
Yes, that's true.
So.
And then they would retitle them to make them cooler.
Yep.
They would recut them to make them either more brutal or less brutal.
Yeah.
Exactly. The thing is, I love the fact that the director is the star of this movie. I think that's so fucking cool.
Both of the guys direct.
Yeah, well, Adam Brooks is Ray Cizo. Yes. Yep. And Connor Sweeney is the blonde, really kind of scuzzy actor. Matt Kennedy is the main cop. I don't know. I feel like I would love to hang out and have a beer with these guys.
Yeah, these guys seem really cool. You know? But that scene though, with like the blonde guy, like it's
Connor
like
Sweeney. Yeah.
Connor Sweeney's acting when he's like, "Oh my God, no, she's dead." No, it's like so. That's the other thing I want to talk about too, is how even the dialogue and the dubbing and everything in this film.
Yes. Oh, here's the funny part about this movie. There's the movie, like, for the most part, isn't dubbed, but there are scenes where it's dubbed and it's intentional. It's like, it's really kind of funny.
And then also the dialogue, it's written in English, but it's written like it was translated
like broken
from
English.
Italian.
Yes,
it's like
broken English.
Like a lot of the dialogue.
Some of it's written in broken English. Yes,
you know.
And there's now, you know, it's referencing giallos, and a lot of giallos were a bit misogynistic. There's a lot of women slapping in the movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of slapping in the movie in general. People just get slapped out of nowhere. It's kind of funny, Rich, because a lot of those movies involve like women's.
Slap? Did they do shit about it? Or
There's semi-reactions. No, not knocking motherfuckers out. No. It's more just like slapping women for no reason.
Yeah.
And there's one of the main, there's the scene in the rain where they're having sex like outside. That's from The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. And, the beautiful Edwige Finch is in that movie. And she just gets slapped a lot in that movie. And they do that in The Editor. Oh my God. Like, for a nerd like me of all those movies to see these scenes, like, I just thought it was so cool. And something of note, the star of, what do you call it? Human Centipede 2 is in the movie. He's the priest. That's him, Lawrence Tierney.
Wow.
Yeah, he's in the movie. You didn't catch that?
Pick that up.
Yeah, he's the priest.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, also we have a cameo of Udo Kier.
Oh, he's the doctor. He plays a great role in the movie, actually. And again, in the extras for The Editor, there's a lot of really great interviews with him.
Oh,
and he has a lot of funny things to say. And apparently he was like a joy to work with on the set. And he's just really funny on the extras, actually. You're not used to seeing him be funny.
Because he's so German, you know.
Yes, I know. He's awesome.
And then, Germans aren't known for being funny.
And he's you should buy the disc just to see these extras.
I have it on. I bought it on iTunes.
You bought it on iTunes,
but I should get the disc for these extras.
Yes, I think you should. There's the making of is fantastic, and there's a lot of cool like interviews and extras and things like that. Now, I don't know. I mean, I think some people I know who are like the Italian film purists may not be too hip to the idea of a comedy giallo, but I have to say it works. It comes from the heart. It comes from the right place. And the movie as a whole is just a joy. Like, there's not a boring moment in this movie, Mike. Would you agree?
I agree. I was totally entertained. I watched it twice already, too.
I need to watch it the second time.
Yeah, it's great. I enjoyed it. Once again, man, I'm surprised at how much I like it because I generally don't like comedies really. And
Mike's a pretty serious guy. Mike is not a comedy guy.
I'm not so serious. I like a few comedies, but I'm very specific with the stuff I like. And I definitely am not a big fan of horror comedy.
Mm-hmm.
What's the ratio of brutality to jokes?
Oh,
dude.
There's blood galore in this movie.
I would almost say it's a 50-50 ratio.
No, there's chainsaw dismemberments.
Yeah.
There's
stabbings.
No, there's a lot of blood.
There's a lot of blood, man.
Gorgeous women. Every woman in the movie is hot as hell. Every woman. There's nudity. There's sex.
Gorgeous women in chainsaws and...
Well, all right.
Equal amount of jokes?
I would say that humor and violence is 50-50.
Yeah, it's a good mix. Well, actually, no, there might be more violence than humor in a way, no?
But the thing is, though, there's a lot of scenes where it's kind of funny and violent.
Right.
You know, so it's like...
Well, that's just because we're fucked.
Of note is...
Maybe that's just us,
right.
You know?
We have to note there's Paz de la Huerta from Boardwalk Empire and many other films is in it. Yeah, Enter the Void. She's in it. She gets naked.
Does she get naked though?
I think topless for a moment. No, towards the end. No, maybe not though. Okay.
You had to pay her extra.
She does her usual very bizarre kind of deliveries and bizarre kind of like she's a weird chick. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm not a fan of her, really. But like she's in the film and you see her ass.
Yeah. She's there. Yeah, I mean there's.
I liked her in Enter the Void.
Yes,
I thought that was cool.
Gaspar Noé, one of our favorites. But the thing is, I just feel like I think a lot of people have checked this movie out, more of like the diehard horror fans. But if there is anyone out there who's hesitant, who's more of the European or the Giallo fan to check it out, please check it out. I mean, it's you might be very surprised at how much you like it.
Yeah, it's a bunch of Canadians making an Italian horror film, and but still, it's great. And like I said, don't be scared by the humor in it.
No.
You know?
Of note about Canadian filmmaking is those lucky bastards get a chunk of their money from the government.
Yeah.
Now they got their Canadian grant, but this movie cost a lot, and they had to do a Kickstarter, and they did a very successful Kickstarter, but they still ran it. This movie took a lot out of them. If you read up on it and you watch the making of, a lot went into this. There was issues, there was money issues, there was like, they had to reshoot certain things and they put their souls into this movie. And I think it shows, in my opinion. Yeah. Like it took a lot out of them, apparently, this movie, these guys. More than Father's Day, apparently.
So go out and see it. You know, either buy the DVD or get it on iTunes or whatever, you know. I mean, it was like $20 for the Blu-ray DVD combo was $22 on Amazon. Buy the fucking thing. I mean, Jesus. I'm going to order that tonight.
Yeah, no. Fantastic.
When we're done with this, I'm going to order that shit.
You'll laugh. The gore is great. The effects are great. It looks like a fucking authentic, Giallo film, a lot of it. I mean, there's a car chase scene. I mean, there's so much in this movie,
Yeah, even like some of the long scenes of like women screaming and like fire and how like awkward some of the action is. Yeah. It's like very much like an Italian film.
I can't believe they referenced the David Hess Franco Nero hitchhike movie. That scene, that particular scene is when Paz de la Huerta is having sex with the cop and he's watching by the fire and they're outside. That is the scene where David Hess is having sex with Franco Nero's wife in the movie Hitchhike. It's the same scene. It's pretty great.
Paz de la Huerta is a native New Yorker, isn't she?
I believe so. Yes.
She's like grew up in Manhattan or something.
She, I heard she's a bit of a nutburgers too. So in real life, so that's kind of cool.
What was the magazine she was spread in? Playboy Pass?
She was in Playboy. I have it. Yeah, she was in Playboy. Absolutely. Yeah.
The issue was on the stand at East 16th Street, Kings Highway, for about 4.5 months.
Ah, interesting.
It was sitting there. Usually
well, let's be honest.
Once a month, but people weren't buying this one. It was sitting there for a long time.
She was on the cover of Playboy. She was in Playboy. Yes, absolutely.
About a year and a half ago, something like that.
Do you see you have the issue with her in it?
I believe I do. Yes. Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
No, she's beautiful. She has this great body. Great body. Yeah.
Okay.
She's great.
But it's not a quarterly magazine. Why would it be sitting there?
I don't know, Rich. I don't know.
I go in there, I get a beer on the way home, and I see the magazine, and it's still there.
Well, I'm going to bring this up.
She's still there.
I'm going to bring this up. Playboy's going non-nudity in a couple issues. Can you freaking believe? Yeah.
Wow.
They're getting rid of nudity. It's going to be like Maxim.
Interesting.
So you're going to stop buying
They blame the internet. That's what they said.
Internet.
They said it's because of the internet. That's what they said.
Playboy, Mike?
I had a subscription for many years. My last subscription was, oh, you're laughing, but Playboy had up until the early 2000s, fantastic interviews. Playboy actually was a good read.
Yeah.
It was a very good read.
It's always been known as that, too. I mean, didn't like Hunter S. Thompson write articles for Playboy?
Yes, he did.
You got to put a brown paper bag over it.
No, I got news for you. Playboy, look.
Dude, compared to like Gallery and Club and
right.
Weed.
They never, here's the thing about Playboy. They're the first on the block, but they never up the ante to compete with Penthouse and Hustler. But guess who's the last man standing if you really think about it? Hustler. Penthouse went bankrupt. No, but I'm talking about in the main three. The least compromised, Hustler. The one that's still the same Hustler. So interesting. Something to be said about that. Larry Flint got into the internet thing before Playboy and Penthouse. Larry Flint bought, he owns a bunch of the cable porn stuff. Okay. Most of them are owned by Larry Flint, by the way. Wow. Most of them are. Yeah. He, I believe, is really the last man standing. Anyway, that's a side note. I'll bring this up. There's a fantastic Bob Guccione Penthouse documentary on Netflix that I think is still on Netflix. You should check it out. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's awesome.
Bob Guccione.
It's really good. Yeah, it's really good.
That's cool. Check that out.
Anyway.
So Halloween's a few weeks away.
Yeah. We got a 1 to 5, the editor.
Oh, right.
I'm 5ing the editor, man. I love the damn movie.
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
You giving it a 4.5?
Yeah. 5s are rare for me, man.
Okay. I'm giving it a 5. I really enjoy it. All right.
So what did we learn today? We have first movie, Green Inferno.
We have a 2.5 for me.
It's a 1.75 average.
Yes.
Yep.
The second one, what'd you guys give it?
I give it a 4.5.
And so did I.
So it's 4.5. And this one, 4.75.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's the winner tonight?
The winner is the editor, obviously.
Rich, that we should have Rich on every episode.
Because Lord knows I don't know math. Jesus.
Yeah, he could be our statistics analyst.
Now, yes, it is Halloween. This is a Halloween edition. I'm going to do something I've never done in this movie, on this podcast, in this movie.
That?
I am excited about a movie I've never seen. And I just want to talk a little bit about it.
You know what, man? I'm going to let you do your thing.
Okay.
But I'm also excited a movie I haven't seen.
Okay.
So go ahead.
The movie came out today on Amazon, on the on-demand and the iTunes. And I believe the DVD Blu-ray came out today. It's called Tales of Halloween. It is an anthology movie. I love anthology movies, anthology horror movies. It has 10 shorts in one. The directors are fairly well known. You have Darren Lynn Bousman from the Saw franchise, Axel Carolyn, Adam Jerry Ash, Andrew Kashich, Neil Marshall,